tutti, good evening and welcome to the Italian Radio Hour. Io sono Viviana and I would like to welcome back our regular listeners and also welcome any new listeners. Also be sure to like us on Instagram and Facebook at Italian Radio Hour and subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch up on any past video interviews. Vorrei dare il benvenuto ai nostri ascoltatori da tutto il mondo, grazie per essere con noi anche oggi mentre continuiamo il nostro viaggio per l'Italia e la cultura italiana. Today I'm delighted to welcome Kristin Karstensdotter, co-founder of Liv Tours, the boutique tour company she launched in Rome with her husband Angelo Carotenuto. Originally from the Nordic countries, Kristin's journey to the Eternal City is a story of adventure, culture, and connection. One that led her not only to Italy, but to building a business that helps travelers experience the country in a deeply personal way. With their guiding motto, "Let your dreams begin," Liv Tours is about more than sightseeing. It's about creating meaningful, memorable moments. We will talk about her move to Rome, traveling with children, a book project in the works, sustainable tourism, and even what Rome feels like during a Papal Conclave. So stay with us, more with Kristin, right after this short break. Warning, this episode might urge you to book a trip to Italy right away. But don't worry, no need to call the doctor, but simply Liv Tours. No side effects expected, only long-term memories. Parli italiano? Do you want to learn, improve, or master your Italian? Istituto Mondo Italiano can help. Located in the heart of Regent Square, Mondo Italiano offers small group classes and one-on-one private tutoring in person or online to help you learn Italian in no time. Visit us online at istitutomondoitaliano.org. Welcome to the program, Kristin. It's a true pleasure to have you. How are you today?
I'm very well. I'm so happy to be with you today.
So you just returned from a trip to Valencia, business trip, so scouting new destinations possibly, even though we're in Italy today.
It was a conference, so it was really nice to meet people from the industry and just talk about the future and everything from new technical tools to new trends and so on.
Wonderful. So we will be touching upon sustainable tourism as cities, major cities also, but even the smaller towns have been hit by myriads of tourists. But I'm very, very curious to find out how your journey, your road led you to Rome from Sweden. So tell us a little bit about how everything started for you.
I always loved Italy. I came here first time when I was 7 or 8, and it was, love at first sight. I love the culture. I love the people. So it's always been something that I wanted to go back and explore more. And then when I finished high school, I actually moved to Perugia and studied there for 6 months. And my best friend, she met an Italian, so she stayed. And that was great for me as well, because then that meant that I could come back and visit her over and over again. So after finishing university and starting a job in Stockholm, I just said, no, I want to live in Rome. So I packed my bags and moved to Rome.
And well, that was also, I don't know if it was this trip, and because you said you moved to Rome, how did you and Angelo connected?
We met very quickly because when I arrived to Rome, I needed a place to stay. And Angelo had an apartment that he shared with 2 friends, and they had an extra room to rent. So I just knocked on the door and was like, okay, I saw the ad. I want to see the room. And there was Angelo. And again, love at first sight.
So Angelo was already involved in the tourism business, if I remember correctly, because we will link also to the episode that we had with Angelo. Must have been even maybe a couple of years ago, because of a very interesting tour that was your company organized at that time. But we'll tie into that. But Angelo was not new to the world of tourism.
No, that's correct. He's been in tourism since 2004. He's been tour guiding, especially at the Vatican, but all over Rome. So he had already started Live Italy, as it was called back then, which was almost like a little bit of a hobby that he had between his other tours.
And so at that point, did you know that you were going to get involved into the business, or did you start and then, or you brought a fresh approach not being from Italy?
Yeah, I think it was a good match between us because I come from a background of business and logistics. And he has, he knows the city, he knows tourism really well. So it was just a very nice match between the two of us.
Mm-hmm. So then along the way, two beautiful children came. I'm going to try to see if I can share a family picture. And and they're polyglots, right? Because between the Swedish, the Italian, maybe even English. So tell us a little bit about how the opportunity that the two of you share raising multicultural, multilingual children, because it is really, really important to also emphasize that.
Oh, definitely. They are Italian, Swedish, and American. So they actually have 3 passports and they trilingual for that reason, which is great. It's such a gift for them. It takes a lot out of us, I guess, especially me, because Swedish is the language that they speak the least. It's only with me. So every week, actually today, I'm going to bring them to Swedish school. Because like you say, it's really like you have to emphasize and make sure that they keep up with language skills as well. But I think, I mean, from the start, they also have this genuine interest in traveling and exploring and learning different cultures because they already are part of 3 different cultures that they cherish a lot.
And because of that, also today's episode is we always talk about tourism, adults traveling and so forth, but I really wanted to put children at the center of exploring a new country, because if they're not from it, but even children, Italian children exploring Italy, because obviously we are also heard in Italy with our podcast, so we might give them some great tips and everything. So I wanted, before we go into some questions or just you talking about, I wanted to share feedback from a friend of mine and a student who I referred to you back in the day. She and her husband and their young son came to Italy for the first time. And I was asking for some feedback, okay? Talking about the child, she says, he absolutely loved it. The Liv Tours guide made the Colosseum and Forum come alive for him. From the very beginning, when he was given a clay ticket to enter, to describing and using multimedia resources such as 3D viewers, what spectators would have seen and children would have experienced. He and we, the parents, got so much more out of the expert than if we were walking through on our own and reading from a guidebook. So this is real, and it came in just 5 minutes prior to this interview.
That is so nice to hear. I'm so happy they enjoyed it. That's the whole point of taking a tour, is to see these places you visit with the eyes of the guide who knows so much about the places.
So tell us about, for instance, this seems to be a very unique experience of the Colosseum. I'm sure you have something else or other cities that you would like to explore. But let's assume we're indeed coming in. We're coming with children. We're reaching out to you and give us a feel of what our experience is going to be like.
Yeah, we developed these family tours that we call them, which is actually, we have them now in every city. So when a family comes and they want to visit one of the highlights, instead of just walking there with a tour guide, each child gets a pamphlet, which this is an example of it. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, Discover Rome, like golf cart. Yes, that's a lot
like
of
golf cart. Yes,
yeah.
This is actually a new tour. It's coming up very soon. And then the child, together with the tour guide, they answer all these questions and riddles. They have to find things during the tour. There's a reason behind the tour, so there's a little mission that they have to complete.
Wow.
And then they follow all these instructions again together with a tour guide. They don't get left alone. And then at the end of the tour, they get actually have it on today, a little pin, a little pin, and then a children's book, which we will talk a little bit more, I guess, later on. And this character then that we have developed name is Liv. And this is the person you then follow on all these tours.
Okay.
And we've been doing this with our children as well, and they absolutely love it. So every time we go somewhere where we operate, they're like, "Are we going to go and do something with Liv?" Yes,
we will be your quality assurance managers, right?
Yes, exactly.
I would love to be in their place, even because the way that both adults and children have our experience in tourism has really drastically changed in the last 10, 15 years with the introduction of social media on one hand and technology always in your hands on the other. So you might be passing monuments and paintings or anything that is 2,000 years old, but that might be distracted because there is no connection, and these treasure hunts, these itineraries with kind of always perking their interest and get them always to, in a nice way, stay on their toes, but I would say engaged more than stay on their toes with a little reward. I think it's a great way to set up these experiences. I'm sure, how about the parents? They probably want to say, let me see.
Oh, yeah, exactly. No, they want to help for sure. And that's also so good because like that, the child is engaged, it has fun. So then, the tour is also for the parents, of course. You learn a lot as a parent. But, as we know, if the child is happy and comfortable and satisfied, then also the parents can relax and enjoy the places they visit.
So just curiosity, from conception or having the idea of developing a new tour to actually execution, how long it might take? What might be some of the steps? Obviously, I don't want your secret recipe, but are there also other people involved? So I don't know, anything that you can share about what goes behind the scenes that eventually leads to an amazing experience for us using Liv Tours.
It used to be a fairly quick process when we were a smaller team. And now we have a product team. So it's a little bit of a longer process as it is today. It requires a lot of research, especially if it's a new destination that we don't know as well. And, a tour like this that has the pamphlet, then we also need a tour guide or someone to help us develop it. So it could be anything from 2 months to 6 months, I would say.
Okay. Is there any tour that is currently offered or was offered by Liv Tours that was a particular, one or something that is dear to you for one reason or another?
One of our more unique tours?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, we do try to involve a lot of even if it's the highlights, but to do it when it's closed to the public. Okay. This is something that we see more and more people are enjoying to get away from the crowds. So this year, for example, we have the terraces of the Duomo in Florence, which is unique, where we actually enter and just before they open to the public. You go up to the terraces, you walk on the facade of the Duomo, which is like this this wide, so you have to be really, really close to the facade and not holding your phone because then you might drop it. And then you see the beautiful windows from the inside and the frescoes and everything. So that is one of the unique tours that we offer.
Wonderful. So you were saying also, you mentioned the keyword crowds. So again, tourism has in a good way expanded. People are traveling more, but there are certain destinations are getting really hit hard and they don't have the ability to sustain that travel, or maybe it might penalize the locals where they feel kind of pushed out because all the properties are getting bought out and turn into Airbnb or some other hospitality, some other reception type of establishment. Then on the other hand, there is also the influence of social media, where it standardizes the experiences because people will be searching the top destination based on who got thousands of clicks and likes and so forth. So from your perspective, tell us a little bit about some good behaviors, some recommendations, how that is impacting you as a tour operator, some, again, good words of recommendation.
I would say to avoid the high season. That's kind of a given, I guess. But Italy, as you know, it's amazing on the off season or shoulder season as well. The weather in most of Italy, especially in Rome, is beautiful all year round. And I'm not saying that because I'm Swedish. I actually, it is nice. You could have lunch outside in November or in February if it's a sunny day. So I would say if you can avoid high season, do that because you will get a much better experience coming here in low season. Another thing is to try to stay as local as possible. So book directly with tour operators instead of using a third party agency. Because if you use a reseller, then a lot of the chunk of the money does not go to the actual destination.
Doing the work.
Exactly. So try to book as local as possible.
Okay. That's also something that probably I didn't think about nor knew about it. So it's not just okay.
And then when you're there, explore and if you're gonna buy souvenirs, go and buy them from. If you're in Florence, go to an actual artisan and buy the souvenirs. Don't go to the stands where you have mass-produced souvenirs coming in from somewhere else. But try to stay as local as possible.
Yeah. I personally, that's a way. I like to also rent a car and kind of get lost on purpose. I might have certain destinations, then engage with local guides to really get a better idea of the history, the past, but anything artisanal is usually what I like to bring back, even because we have a huge display at Istituto Monte Italiano with trying to have all the 20 regions represented, and it makes indeed for a very unique and memorable gift if you're going to give it to someone. Souvenir, if you're going to keep it for yourself, they really, really represent that region. Like in Puglia, they have these terracotta massaie. They are adorable. And on this recent trip, I just kind of enhanced my collection by a few pieces. Talking about my recent trip to Puglia, you and I were trying to connect in person during that 1 week, but I was, again, this ping pong ball here and there. And we were talking about maybe the Monday after Easter. And then we all know what, unfortunately, a great man, Pope Francis, left us. So I was there right when the announcement was made between Circo Massimo and the Vatican. So there were a lot of tourists and people still unaware of the news, and almost felt like shaking it because they're taking selfies like Pope Francis had died. It almost like I had this impulse, but obviously didn't do it. And then obviously flocks of journalists coming from all over the world. So you will hear this buzz in all different languages and so forth. And then I had to return to the United States before the funeral and so forth. And now we are in the middle of the Papal Conclave. So I was wondering, tell us a little bit how it feels right now. And by the time maybe we broadcast this interview, we might have a new Pope. But tell us a little bit about your experience, both personal and professional. What has been happening in the last?
Yeah, no, I was very sad when we got the news on Easter Monday. as we all know, we thought that it was, I mean, he was not doing very well earlier this year. And at that point, I think a lot of people had that, they kind of understood that we probably will not be able to have him for that much longer. So I think people were quite prepared, even though he was feeling better. And I mean, he did all these appearances during Easter, which was incredible considering. But it's really sad. I mean, he was an amazing, amazing Pope. And during COVID, I went to see one of his audiences because there was almost no one there. And I remember just being so close to him. It was, you can feel that, his aura, like it was so spiritual. So it's very, very sad. And then, of course, it's pretty crazy to have that big of a funeral with all the presidents and kings from all over the world. But again, it shows how important he was and how many people that wanted to be there and celebrate him. But now, today we started the conclave, so we'll have to see how long time this will take. I think the average is about 3 days. And I think they do about 4 votes each day.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it will be interesting to see who will be chosen.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when Pope Francis was chosen, we were actually, Angelo and I were in the car in Rome, and we had the radio on, and we heard, okay, there's smoke coming. Exactly. So we just left the car close to the Tevere, so the river in Rome, and we just ran to the Vatican because we were so excited to see who it was. And we got there to St. Peter's Square, and with everyone, there were so many people. And we just stood there and waited to understand who would come out on the balcony. It is an incredible experience to be there.
Yeah, the Abemus Papam. I remember I've gone through a few, John Paul. I was still kind of youngish, but still remember. I don't remember Ratzinger. I think I was already here in the US, and Pope Francis. It was, but back in the day when I only had a couple of channels and you had your black and white TV, I know probably you were not even born. During the conclave, you turn on the TV and there was nothing else but just the camera pointed at the chimney and also the false alarms where there would be a little bit of smoke, white smoke. So people, and then the black smoke, starts all over again. Yeah. So it's interesting because, there was a very strong spirit of spirituality that Monday, but also from the pilgrims and the tourists alike. So obviously the Sistine Chapel is closed now, but except for that, I think this is probably going to bring even more renewed wanted to, even how important this Jubilee is to people. What's your take? Wanted to honor.
Yeah, no, it feels like a very unique year with everything that is going on and this on top of it. And we will have to see. I mean, this summer we're expecting so many pilgrims, and I think also depending on then who will be chosen, there might be even more coming the way.
Yeah. So I'm not going to ask you who do you think. I'm sure there are some favorites, but we're going to follow the news. Ironically, that same day was going to be a very important day for the city of Rome because it was Il Natale di Roma. And so as I was approaching, my mission was actually going to be to head to the Circo Massimo. And likely I had just found parking by the Colosseum, just around, which is impossibile, right? So I thought I'm going to leave the car here and anything else is going to be either on foot or on a moped. And so I was walking by the Forum, heading to the Circo Massimo, where the parade was going to start. Again, this is a pretty amazing event that I've been dreaming to see live since I was a little child, because there are historical enactors coming from what has surprised me, not only from Rome, but from all over Italy. and from many countries. There was Spain and Bulgaria. I mean, you could hear all these languages who were all dressed up. Julius Caesar was ready. The Vestal Virgins were ready. The gladiators were ready. When, again, they announced the news and everything was suspended in the city of Rome. So it was an interesting kind of gave us the ability, because they were all now congregated in the Circo Massimo to, ask questions about all the attires that they wear, where they were from, in a more relaxed way, because obviously the parade had been canceled. Have you ever been to one of these events?
Yes, I have. It's amazing. It's
Yeah, and if you
amazing.
ask too
Oh,
many
wow.
questions, be careful, right?
This is a scary one.
So, excellent. And then, I hop on a moped again, went to the Vatican. I'm going to try to see if I have just a couple of pictures about it. But then we'll take a little break, and we will talk a little bit about your upcoming project. As I said, you already mentioned something with Liv and the book. So let's do it this way. Let's take a little break, and I will be right back. Applying for Italian citizenship? Need documents translation? Istituto Mondo Italiano provides certified translations and assistance services. Be sure to visit us at istitutomondoitaliano.org and schedule your free consultation. Un caffè, per favore. My first cup of coffee sets the tone for my entire day, and I get my coffee at La Prima Espresso. La Prima has been brewing Pittsburgh's best coffee for over 35 years. Try any of their in-house roasted varieties of beans from all over the world at home, or come and enjoy an espresso or a cappuccino at any of their locations, where their friendly baristas and familiar faces will make you feel at home. Visit laprima.com to get La Prima Espresso coffee at your door. Tell us more about what are you focusing on? What's in the works?
Yes. So our character Liv, as I mentioned before, is someone we've grown very fond of. And when there are children, the clients are doing the tour, they have been receiving a children's book after the tour. So if they do the Colosseum tour, they get a book about the Colosseum. If they do the Vatican tour, they get a book about the Vatican, and so on. But it's been hard to find that perfect book for children. The one that has a good balance between entertainment and still that gives them some knowledge about the places they visit. So that's why we're thinking, you know what, if we cannot find it, then why not make our own? Mm-hmm. So this is a great project I've been working on with someone who's actually a teacher originally. She has a lot of experience reading children's books. And she has written 2 books already. So one about the Colosseum and one about the Vatican and the Sistine Chapel particularly. And this is about Liv and our dog, actually. Her name is Doris. So Liv and Doris are time traveling, going back in time and visiting the places, and therefore they can experience how the gladiator games actually were and what would happen. Or Liv and Doris goes back and they find Michelangelo in the Sistine Chapel trying to wrap up his work, and the feelings he might have had, revealing his work, and at the same time being proud but being very critical about his work and tired. So yeah, it's been a really, really fun project.
And it's interesting, you just mentioned how Michelangelo might have felt, because sometimes we focus so much onto the artwork without thinking about the artists were human beings. So they must have also felt fear of rejection. A lot of opera composers, so forth, sometimes the operas that became most famous after their death were maybe big fiascos the first time around. And it was this kind of spin of that really drew me a couple of years ago to interview Angelo, because I believe there was a tour where you would still visit the sites that you had in your itinerary, but the story was told from the woman's perspective. So,
Mm-hmm.
whether it might be the wife or the emperor, might have been a statue that people pass by. I think that probably had a
Correct.
great impact.
Mm. Yes, those are amazing, the tours. We call them women's history tours.
Hmm.
So, like you say, if you visit the Colosseum and the Roman Forum, to not just talk about the emperors and all the male figures in the history, you actually emphasize the women
Hmm.
and try to see the sites through their eyes, which is gives you a completely different perspective and equally important.
Yeah. So we focus on Rome just in our conversation, and we mentioned Florence. I'm actually just scrolling through your website, which is livtours.com, because you are an international company, meaning you have tours internationally and other parts of Italy. So
Mm.
some from Austria, Germany, Spain, maybe
Paris and
yeah,
London.
Paris, yes, and
Mm.
obviously, Seville, it's beautiful. I've never been there, so
Mm.
you
Oh, it's so
you
beautiful.
and I need to talk afterwards.
Yes.
So I do have a little rapid fire questions. Okay, let's see
Okay.
if okay. In your own palate, a must-try dish in Rome. That it might surprise
Amatriciana.
you. Huh?
I
La
would,
matriciana?
Amatriciana. I mean, maybe it's too obvious.
No, I believe
I
me.
should say tripa, but I'm a little freaked out by.
You read my mind. You read my mind. Sometimes people just turn their nose up just because the
Yeah.
new is instead of trying it with an amazing sauce, or I'm a big triple lover. My dad made it beautifully, so it's the most maybe underrated Italian city. I know it's a very wide question,
Mm,
but maybe something that people might. Um,
not go to. Hmm.
I
Maybe like one of the smaller ones, like Modena or something like that. I
okay.
mean,
Let's put
Emilia Romagna has so much to offer, and the
yeah.
food
Mhm.
is so good.
Yeah, I need to come back because of I want to visit the museums of food that we interviewed. So now
Mm.
I kind of visualizing what a tour you would take again and again.
Mm. I
I
mean,
know I should have given you the
maybe
word and
Borghese tour. I love. I mean, there's so many. I do love the
Mhm.
Borghese Gallery. I think it's
Oh,
amazing.
absolutely. You cannot one word, one Italian word everyone should learn.
Dai.
Dai. Let's say it in
It's not even
Roman.
Italian, it's Roman.
Make it into Roman. You're to go to Roman trattoria, and this will not be a secret anymore. Whether it's your house or
I
Angela's,
love
Angela's family, I don't know.
I love a place called the Sorpasso, which
Okay.
is basically on the street where Angelo and I met. So it was our name. We were neighbor with this place.
Uh-huh.
It's not so much of a trattoria. It's kind of a wine bar, and they change the menu every day according to the season. It's
Okay.
delicious.
Okay. I'm gonna make it a little easier for you. Swedish versus Italian. Who wins? Coffee
In
culture.
food, sorry, in
Coffee
what?
culture. On coffee
Coffee
culture.
culture.
What do you think?
No, I
Because I
wouldn't. I
don't
have
know
to.
much. So
Yeah, sweets. Actually, sweets are the ones that drink most coffee in the world after Finnish
really?
people. So the second, yeah, we drink a lot of coffee, but I must say Italian coffee culture.
Okay. Fashion sense.
Passion sense,
Fashion. Mhm.
fashion. Italians.
Italians, yes, but also Swedish people dress very well. It might be more, I don't want to say monotone, but
Mm,
but very, very classy.
mm.
Punctuality.
Swedish people. Sweden wins there.
Holiday traditions. Or maybe you can also mention a Swedish tradition that you have been able to preserve in your family with your children.
Mm, it's probably kind of even. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's, both countries are pretty good with their holiday traditions.
Yeah, I'm keen on something that is more Italian, for instance, is the celebration of La Befana.
Oh,
Uh,
okay, so those
and
traditions,
but
like
I
public
don't know.
holidays.
Yes.
Um, then I think Sweden wins because I like the Swedish traditions. Like
Okay.
Midsummer is my favorite one.
Oh,
It's
tell us about.
beautiful.
Hmm.
It's in June. It's in mid-June, so it's supposed to be the day where we have most light, and we just meet a lot of friends together, and we have the maypole full with beautiful flowers that we dance around, with like someone playing harmonica, and everyone knows the songs, and then barbecues, and you go bathing in the evening in the lakes or the sea. It's yeah, sauna.
It's
It's really nice.
wonderful. So it looks like this was, a friendly little cultural competition. Definitely a lot to learn from each other, and again, both your family and your kids are having an amazing opportunity to be. The American side, where I didn't explore that, where does that come
Mm.
from? Does it come from
An Angelo
Angelo?
is half American,
Okay,
so
I remember.
his
Yeah.
his mother is from California, and she
Oh,
lives here. So they get. I mean, they spend a lot of time with
mhm.
Nonna. She's still called Nonna, even though she's technically grandma.
That's
But yeah, they get a lot of American culture from her as well.
anything else that we shouldn't that we didn't talk about that you wanted to mention? Any words of wisdom, or again, we are in May, approaching the beginning, or maybe has already begun since Easter,
Mm.
in season. What would you like to tell us to conclude this conversation?
No, to definitely come to Italy. Like I said, it's 365 days of the year, so there's more than just June and July.
Hmm.
Like don't be afraid of exploring the country, even in the winter or late fall or early spring. It's absolutely beautiful. Like come here in November, for example, when you have the Novello wine that's just been pressed, or the olive oil, they have the first batch,
Hmm.
funghi porcini. I mean, there's so much, the castagne, the chestnuts. I mean, there's so much to enjoy in low season.
Indeed, and so also following the calendar of nature one, because what you
Mm,
mentioned, and the sagre, because often when a specific product is being picked or is in season, in those regions where that product is predominant, there are a lot of local celebrations where you can really, really eat many different foods will include it. Well, Kristin, this has been a pleasure. As I said, we'll see you this summer. Absolutely. And
looking forward to it.
I can't wait for people to really, something that, traveling with children is obviously something that is already happening and occurring. And we like to see younger travelers, just because it really opens up your mind to a world that will make a great impact on children. I think the just experiencing, and stay tuned on Istituto Mondo Italiano, because we are also working on something related to children. So maybe we can combine our efforts and bring more American children to the United States, to Italy, and also expose
Absolutely.
them to the language and culture. But it is time now for us to say arrivederci, alla prossima. Il Big Ben ha detto stop, and we want to thank you for tuning in into the program. If you have any questions or comments, or if you have any topics you would like us to address, please contact us at italianradiohour@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Remember, if you or any of your family and friends have missed a prior episode or would like to listen to this episode again, subscribe to the Italian Radio Hour on YouTube and where you catch your favorite podcasts. And don't forget to share, because sharing is caring. I would like to thank Kristin one more time for giving us great insights on traveling to Italy. Our sponsors Istituto
Thank you.
Mondo Italiano and La Prima Espresso. And until next time, alla prossima. Ciao, ciao. See you soon, Kristin.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao. Thank you.